Hello, everyone.
And welcome back to another video.
Sisterly Conversations.
That too.
So, we will now pick a topic, and Shanita, you will start with reading it.
So our topic is: do we still get our parents' opinions before getting with or marrying a partner?
Okay, so for me personally, I guess my sister will talk about herself. For me personally, I would still like the opinion of my family, of my parents about my partner, even though sometimes we may say, that we are going to marry the person. Anyways, I believe that parents see red flags even more than us who are actually in a relationship. I know in both the Eastern and Western world, but mostly the Eastern world, parents do have an opinion on who you marry. Sometimes it might be an arranged marriage where they actually pick the partner for you, or we I guess persons would pick their partner, but the family will have an opinion or say about it, and if it is that the family agrees with the marriage, then I guess they will go on with it. um in terms of now on the western side of the world, yes, we do practice that as well, but it to me is kind of creeping out of the western world because people just go and get married without even telling their family members about them getting married or whatever. But coming home now to myself, I certainly will want my parents' opinion on who I am marrying to. I feel like they have a good judgment. My parents have been married for almost 23 years. Actually, this year is going to be 23 years that they were married. And I know that they would have been in relationships before, and they would see different red flags that I may not see as their child or whatever, and just bring it to my opinion. Is it a case that they can stop the wedding from going on? No, they cannot. But I value their opinion.
Well, as Tony said, our parents were married for 23 years and they were actually together for over 34 years. That's just a side note. So they've actually been together for a very long time. So they will have a lot of expertise and so on and so forth. Um, Something else she would have mentioned is persons having arranged marriages. You would more find that in the Middle East. And I think they're more strict about it with them actually telling their children who to marry, and most of the time I guess it's for monetary gain, um or for making sure that their child is stable or in a stable situation, more so than for love. So they usually have that very strict. In the Caribbean, we don't have that strict type of situation going on. And what I would say in terms of getting our parents' opinions, as Tony would have mentioned, I feel like you don't really get a lot of people don't really get their parents' opinions. What they do, they might express to their parents that they're interested in somebody. If they do even mention it, it depends on how close the person and their parents are. And sometimes what I found back in the Caribbean, especially back in the day, and it was kind of similar in a way to the same Middle Eastern, even though not so strict, where if a person, especially a woman, let's say for example, a woman has a man and her family or her parents, mostly the mother, so to speak, know that this guy is financially stable, you will more find that the woman is more so interested in the guy. And the first thing a lot of women would ask you, oh, did he give you something? Did he buy you this? Did he this? Or, for example, if a man comes home with a bag of groceries to bring in the home where the girl lives with her parents or whatever, like, the family would usually gravitate towards that. And sometimes the person might not even be treating the girlfriend or whatever in a proper manner. But because of the materialistic stuff, you would find that the family would more so have like be more like, oh yeah, this is the person for them or whatever because of that situation. For me personally, I was fortunate enough to have my parents. Yes, they definitely give me their opinions. As Tony said, the ultimate decision is on you. And for me, the ultimate decision was on me. But my parents definitely give me their opinions, and I value my parents' opinions about certain situations, because usually your parents may see things that you don't see. And before really getting into my first marriage too much, even having this conversation about, um, we recently as a family had this conversation, and my parents told me, there are some things that we saw, um, in your relationship at the time, that you did not see, and you didn't see it because you were so caught up in love, and you were so all about this person and everything. And I do remember there were times that my parents mentioned a little something here and a little something there. I'm not saying that I was perfect in my marriage either, or in my relationship before, or that my ex-husband was perfect in the marriage or in the relationship before. But there were things that my parents did point out about him, and even about myself as well. So, and that's a good thing. I see it as a situation where there was growth, because of the mistakes I would have made in the marriage, or the mistakes he would have made in the marriage. Um, Now as a result, I feel like when I do get married again, I would be more mature and come to that situation in a way different, um, manner. I actually got married at 25 years old, so I was really young when I got married, still not completely fully matured to the maturest. So, there are things that I would not have, um
See.
known or taken. Hey, looking at this board here that coming off of that house there. Anyhow, sorry, that was a little too. But there were things that I would not have known or seen up front, because obviously, like I said, I was blinded by love. Um, but now looking back, I can definitely see it. So I think it is very, very, very important to get your parents' opinion, even when you might not want to hear the opinion because you're so caught up in love. And it's important also to get to know people that your partner, some people have a partner, they don't know diddly squat about them. They don't know who their family is. They don't know, if you are in a relationship, I feel personally that if you're in a relationship with somebody and they don't want to bring you around their family, that's red flag number one. Or they don't want to bring you around their friends, that's the red flag number two. Because where are you hiding? What are you hiding? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely important.
What I would say to, as it relates to even my sister speaking briefly about her marriage, I would say for myself, I find like sometimes we have to work on ourselves before we could even think about getting a partner. And your family actually sees where you are falling or whatever, because you would have had relationships before which would not have worked out. And you try to fix, like, I would say fix yourself, because you can't fix the partner must be willing to fix themselves too. But you fix yourself and know that maturity needs to happen, and that you need to also know that growth has taken place, right? But what I would say is, because I've never been married as yet, so what I would say is that I try to, whoever I was talking to, I try to bring them around my family so that my family could tell me, okay, I like this quality, I don't like this quality, or I don't like how you just do something. Cause you also don't want parents that, gonna only take your side. You want parents that are going to tell you when you're wrong and where you can work on or what you can do. And my mom and dad, they're opinionated, yes, but they also call us out when we're doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing or acting the wrong way. So I know a lot of people may not have that where their parents are not really, like, some are opinionated on the negative aspect versus the positive aspect or whatever. So I know everybody won't have that, but I'm grateful to my parents that I know that if I have a partner and I want to get married, that I could take my partner to them, and my parents could let me know like what they think about it.
Yeah, and as Tony said, again, our parents have been very fair when it comes to us in relationships because they don't take the side of us.
Right.
So even if there's some people that their parents, regardless of what they do, they are always right and the partner is always wrong. But it's important that your parents, obviously they know who you are because they grew up with you. Nobody's perfect, right? They raised you or whatever. So it's important that they can also see how you are in a relationship. And it's important that they can see how your partner treats you in a relationship, how you treat your partner in a relationship, because it's a two-sided coin. So at the end of the day, it's not about, oh, this is maybe anytime you have a parent or you're in a relationship with a partner where they're always right and you're always wrong, that's a problem because nobody is always right.
True.
We are here to learn and grow. I'm still growing and learning all now. I'm still learning of my shortcomings all now. I'm still working on my shortcomings at this point. Even though now, since I was first married to now, it's been about 10 years or so, or 11, right? So it's important to make sure that you have people around you that are willing to call out the situation and say, hey, well, this is what happened, but this is fair and this is fair, and he was right about this or she was right about this, or whatever. Because that is how you grow within a relationship. And then you're able to trust the advice that you're receiving. Is not one-sided, right? And so that all of that helps to build, again, like it helps to build you, it helps to make you stronger to come up sorry, to come up and something is tickling my throat. Anyway, sorry about that. To come up to the point where you can have that lasting relationship. For me personally, I don't regret that I got to the point where I had a divorce and my parents have been together forever. Because it didn't work out for me doesn't mean that,
It can't work for
is
other
pity
people.
or is a case where, my situation is my situation. And I was so grateful that I had parents who supported me throughout everything. And they were able to see what was going on, and they were able to, advise me in a way that, you know, I was able to eventually benefit from it. And they were there completely right through. And they were not unfair either. Yes, my ex-husband did a lot of stuff that I was not happy about, and maybe if he had come up in the beginning and said what it was that he was dealing with personally, I would have been able to be more equipped and able to handle whatever it was that he was dealing with personally in his own life. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I do have to say too that even at times where he was right about something, my parents would say, "Yeah, he was right about this or whatever." They weren't bad minded or one sided, right? And so that's important to me because when I do get married again, I know that my parents, whether it's me or it's him or whatever the situation is, I know that they're going to always have something positive that I can actually take something from. And that's what helped to build lasting relationships, as I had said before. So,
Yes. So
Tony has not been married as yet, but,
yes.
you know, my marriage and my parents' marriage and the relationships around her and so on and so forth can also help her to build and be prepared for people that come into her life. And that's the thing about it too. Like, you get to sift through these different people and whatever they're coming to, because some people come to relationships with a lot of baggage.
Right.
And you have to know. I remember hearing one pastor say one time, you have he said, everybody has some type of baggage or something, but you have to know what baggage you're willing to deal with for the rest of your life.
Right.
And if you get to the point where you need to get divorced because of something, that's not is not a sinner, is not the end of the world. You know what I mean? But you, at the end of the day, need to still know what you're willing to deal with. So if you know that something is gonna irritate you for the rest of your life, then maybe that's not the person you should be with. Or if you know that this person is constantly, going out there doing whatever, coming home late, whatever it is, then maybe that's not the person that you should be with if you don't think you can handle it. So that's just to make to because personally for me, you don't want to constantly be getting a divorce, getting a divorce, getting a divorce, or you don't want to or you don't want to be in a relationship either where you're married but unhappy. I do not advise people to be in relationships where they're unhappy or marriages. I feel like as a person, you should experience the highest level of happiness you could possibly experience with your partner. So that's I know it might off a little past off the topic a bit,
yeah.
but I think all of that is very important. And then not only parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, siblings, whoever can give you opinions as long as they're not being vindictive or jealous or bad minded, whoever can give you opinions about your relationship that can benefit you. And I'm not saying every single thing that you go through in your relationship you have to run and tell the person either, because that alone is a problem, or it could be a problem within a relationship. You have to know to pick and choose what to share and what not to share, right? But at the same time, these people who are supposed to be your circle, your community, can then turn around and give you the tools that can build success in your marriage or relationship.
I just want to say something before we end the video. I would say Shanita said something very true that I could always sift through the stuff that I've seen in her marriage or my parents' marriage or any other body's marriage, but also even with relationships, like sometimes you have to sit down and assess yourself and see what you can tolerate versus what you can't tolerate. And there are just some things for me that I might not be able to tolerate, and other people might be able to, but you gotta know for yourself what you can handle. So, with that being said,
Oh, and also, now that you said that, and also not only what you can tolerate, but also think about how what you can't tolerate, make sure you're not bringing that same energy into the relationship. Because you can't say one thing, but at the end of the day, you do the same thing that you say you don't want.
correct.
You have to give people what you expect to give. You can't say, "Oh, I want somebody that's financially stable," but you're coming into the relationship not financially stable. Or you can't say, "Oh, I want somebody that's not a cheater," but then you're dipping and dodging on the person.
True.
They stand at the standards that you choose to allow people that you want people to come with. You be at the same standard. So with that,
Please like,
share,
and subscribe to Sisterly Conversations. Let us know what you think about our video and leave a comment down below. And with that, let's say bye
bye.
bye.